boxes because Mike said that's what Jesus was doing. I'm doing what Jesus would do. But I think it's important because you have to be able to move people from A to B. And I think that, and really allow them to see it and to understand through your own process. Is that I tell people that advice is something that is for you. And that as we develop young people, for me, I set a foundation of if this is what you want to be. Because it's all about choices. And so in no program or organization or in any process do we talk about taking away the choice. As Khalil Gibran says in what is my favorite book, The Prophet, he talks about as a parent to a child, your relationship is not to replace your experiences in your children and to recreate mini-me's. Yeah. Your responsibility is the bow to the arrow. You're the bow, they're the arrow. So ours is to propel our children past where we are. Some of us simply want to replace our reality and who we are in our children. So we want our children to be who we are, not necessarily be who they are. And so if we're an athlete, we want little athletes. If we're intellects, we want intellects. If we're firemen or policemen, we want firemen and policemen. If we're military, we want military. If we're thugs, bone thugs in harmony, we want bone thugs in harmony.
Yeah, and that's part of our issue also, because some of the parents of our young people are jacked up. And so that becomes some of their reality, because as we discuss certain things, like I said, our sessions are closed sessions, all the information stays there. And so a lot of our young people will share information, and you can kind of see the reason why they are that they are. It's not because, they automatically decided this is the life I want to live. They kind of fell into, into that situation based
natural
on
selection.
Exactly.
Natural selection. And the reality is that parents have their own set of challenges. And so what you want to do is try to create a process where the children begin understanding that they can separate from the attitudes, not judging negatively their parents, but they can separate and become their own person. They can begin to become who they would want to be.
Yeah, and I think one of the key things you mentioned was being able to make the right choices. And that's where, we talk about, choices that, that we make in life, and being able to think about, the repercussions behind those choices ahead of time, as opposed to thinking about them after it's already been done. And we're suffering consequences because now we're sitting in jail because I made a bad choice. Now it's talking about, let's see how I can make a choice before I go out and, do whatever, that might land me in jail. Or saying, okay, I might have a child at home. I don't want to be in prison and have to have my child visit me behind glass walls, for 3 years. And that's what my child sees. It's about trying to develop ourselves so we can make correct choices prior to, our actions being, taken out.
Yeah. One of the young men that I work with, his brother's been in jail for 5 or 6 years for murder. Another one of his friends, he watched him get murdered. Another one of his friends was 15 years old, looking at going to prison, being bound over as an adult, going to prison for an armed robbery. And so he's looking at his environment, and he's starting to get it. He's starting to understand that what he wants out of life and that he has to work for it. He has a tutor in school. And so he understands that he's asking for what he needs. He's not trying to take advantage of the resources and the people that are there to help him. He's only asking for what he needs. If he needs you or wants you to come to a basketball game, he calls you and says, Uncle Wendell, I have a basketball game. Will you come to my basketball game? If I can make it, I'm always going to be there. And so he's starting to look at it. And I told him, I said, because of your athletic prowess, people are going to be coming from everywhere to attach to that. But the most important things to me go back to your character, education, and the ability to articulate yourself.
Definitely.
Looking at young people, often that's an issue around their ability to articulate themselves, about their level of education. My nieces and nephews, what have you put into your education over and above your athleticism? That's not guaranteed. There's no guarantee there. You have less control over there. You have complete control of your ability to educate yourself, ability to be able to get into a foreign language. And so I think that for me, and it sounds to me like the Gentlemen's Club is really promoting young people being able to look at and have a broader spectrum and understanding of what their possibilities are and what their opportunities in front of them are.
Yeah, definitely. And we definitely believe in being able to expand their horizons. Because one of the things I think that we've seen with young people, and this isn't even like you mentioned, it's not really an at-risk program. This is for everybody. Because I can have money and not have a father around and still end up in the same situation as somebody that came, straight out of Brick City, went terrorist, and to still be in the same boat. And so when we look at this, we talk about trying to expand the horizons, trying to bring them to different things that, they've never seen before. So one of the things that we're looking to expand in these next couple of sessions is being able to take them out of town. We want to take them to, a professional basketball game, because some of them may never have a chance, to be able to go see LeBron play somewhere, or to be able to, take them to, cultural settings, to be able to expose them to different things. One of the things we're in the process now with this session, we have them going through an etiquette process.
Good.
And so somebody's going to come in and teach them how to, properly sit at a dinner table and figure out what the forks and knives are.
Could you hold on for 1 second? We have a caller coming in, but I need help with that fork and knife stuff too.
Yeah.
we have a caller on the air. Caller, go ahead, please. All that noise, somebody better start talking. Do we have a caller? Okay, Mike, back to your etiquette.
Okay. Yeah,
Help me with them forks and knives and them little spoons. I got like
definitely. Yeah, trying to figure out what spoon goes where, and how to sit and eat at a proper setting, because you never know when you'll be in a corporate setting where you're trying to get a job and you might be at a lunch meeting. And so we're teaching them all this, and then we'll develop it all together where they'll sit down with their parents at an actual meal. Food will come out, and they should be able to know, how to work
Salad
this thing
fork,
out.
Dessert
Exactly.
fork.
They try to develop
Meal
develop them all over, mentally, physically.
And don't hover over your food.
Exactly. Don't lick the plate.
Try not to lick the plate. Unless it's really, really good, don't lick the plate.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's certain things that, they have to understand is, this really isn't acceptable culturally, once you start expanding your, your horizons and, start going to different places.
And what I think is important for us to understand is that I went to a graduated undergrad from a historically black college and university. For God, for Central for State. And when you were there, we talked about the whole duality and the two-ness. And I think that sometimes people don't understand that there is a social process that you want your children to be able to blend into. And that all too often we think of it as whitenizing and whitewashing and taking away the essence of who these young people are. And in no way, form, or fashion is it taking away from who you are.
Yeah.
Taking you out of the hood, I mean, people think that somehow this
That's
hood
a good thing.
is a good thing. And I'm thinking, so you're talking about the he be, we be, she be's, it be, they be, is something that is positive. But when you articulate yourself, the whole concept of being and sounding white, my brother had to deal with it. I've had to deal with it at different times in my life. And it's amazing that you're looking at something that is a good thing. The ability to articulate yourself often comes from reading. It comes from education, both formal and informal, online and offline. Challenging young people to, outside of this gentleman's club, for it to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
Being able to pick up a book and read a book. And if you don't understand what it's saying, ask for help. If you don't understand the words, write them down, go look at them, and eventually you'll be able to define them in context.
Yeah, essentially it's almost like being bilingual. Yeah. Because, I graduated from Walnut Hills here in Cincinnati.
Ooh.
Exactly. And so, I know all about the whole, white process. But at the same time, I know how to go into a corporate board meeting. But I can go down the way and, be up in Devereaux, any hard.
He said, be up in Devereaux. I can go hang out in Devereaux.
Yeah, I can go kick it with, with anybody. It's because I know how to, how to work it. But it's not about, losing your identity. It's about being able to expand, your outreach. Because now I have an opportunity to go anywhere in the world, and I literally have had the opportunity to go overseas and be able to partake of different things in Europe, and go through Spain and Italy, and be able to participate in all these different cultures. But if I was only narrow-minded to one dimension of my particular life, I think I would have missed out on some of those opportunities.
And I think that the biggest part of whether it's the Gentleman's Club or any of our processes is to begin taking the blinders off of our young people so that they understand how big the world is. That given globalization, that we no longer have the convenience of this isolation in these urban areas. And that's for anyone. One thing that I did think about is when we look at the Gentleman's Club, that it tends towards an African-American flavor, but is this an option for little white kids, little Hispanic Latino kids, little Asian kids, or is it a predominantly or exclusively African-American club?
Yeah, it's not exclusively African-American. Anybody can literally take part in it if they so choose. In fact, if you need to call in to get an application, get some more information, the number, the primary number right now that you could call is 513-675-5448 to get some information on the Gentleman's Club, get an application. If you have a young man 12 to 18 years of age that you want to see become part of this process, literally, like, we're taking them in. And so we're bringing them in